Again, back here in the VIP Podcast Lounge, doing a little bit of an overtime session, overtime download here, because there's some important stuff going on. There's a lot of important stuff going on here at the event, but there's also a lot of important things happening outside in the world. We're going to talk about both of those things with a couple of great people who are here this weekend. We're lucky they're here because they can open and shed some light on some of these issues, especially regarding what's going on in the world of cryptocurrency, in the Bitcoin world as well, and more broadly talking about the future of a lot of things, society, money, whether we're going to have certain opportunities going forward. A lot of that hinges on what's going on right now. I want to give you both a chance. Just introduce yourself real quick. Mike first.
Okay, my name is Michael Middleton. I own a firm in California. Our company name is ProTax LLC. I've been a consultant for 33 years. Did very well. Discovered Bitcoin way back in 2012, maybe 13, and invested heavily. So I've been following Bitcoin for a long time. I only use the term Bitcoin because there have been forks of it since. And to me, Bitcoin is all that matters. So I'm talking about, in general, the concept of Bitcoin. And so I've been in the space for a long time, but I've been kind of quiet about it. But now I'm coming out, and I'm trying to educate as many people as possible about the importance of Bitcoin. Because in my world, Bitcoin is going to change the world for the better because it's a truth machine. I saw it a long time ago, and it's coming out now, and now the whole world's finding out about it. But we're still very early. And so I ran into this fine gentleman next to me, Raphael, and we are very like-minded. And so I asked him if he could come over, and he agreed.
I appreciate that. And we'll talk about, I know you got a lot to say about a lot of important issues here, but
yes,
Raphael, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi there, yeah. My name is Rafael Verde. I'm the co-founder of the Crypto Vigilante, also the co-founder of the VIC, the Vigilante Insiders Club. I've been a Bitcoin miner. I've been involved in venture capital, and I've been in Bitcoin since like 2011, 2012. I've been through the 2 civil wars in Bitcoin. I'm very intimate with everything that has happened throughout Bitcoin history, and I'm pretty attuned to what's happening right now with Craig Wright in the court case that you guys want to talk about.
Let's talk. This is a big trial that's going on. For those people who aren't aware of the trial or don't understand the story behind it, if you can give us a very brief synopsis of what's happening. Who is Craig Wright? Why is he significant? And why is the outcome of this particular trial going to be important, whichever way it goes?
You want me to take it?
You want to take it first?
All right. Before I get started, I would like to let you guys know that I personally believe Craig Wright is Satoshi Nakamoto, based on my study of Bitcoin, and corroborated by all recent events where all of the scaling within BTC itself is now one that is mirroring what BSV is doing. So the civil war that took place in Bitcoin history was one that revolved around scaling on-chain and embracing Bitcoin's computational power, where Bitcoin is more than a coin, but it's also bits. It's a Turing complete machine. In other words, a computer, a supercomputer. Craig Wright explained this in 2015 in what they called the All-Star Panel with Trace Mayer was there, Nick Szabo, and he explained to everyone nonchalantly how Bitcoin was Turing complete. Many things happened in 2023 that after I had a lot of suspicion that this man was Satoshi Nakamoto, it was just obvious to me that he was, because now people in BTC are saying that BTC is also Turing complete, as if they had discovered this in 2023 when Craig Wright himself had said it in 2015. So my idea of who Craig Wright is comes from my personal study on Bitcoin, not just what they want me to learn about Bitcoin, what mainstream crypto media sponsored by venture capital and big tech wants you to think about Bitcoin as what Bitcoin is according to them and their definition. And no, I come from a group of Bitcoiners, and Mike does as well, where we saw what Satoshi gave us in its totality and we approached it with reverence. For us, it was a reverent thing. the entirety of the crypto space can be broken down by one question. Do you think you know better than Satoshi Nakamoto? And and if so, could you create something better than Satoshi's original design? The vast majority, I'd say 90% of the crypto world is based on people who, in my opinion, arrogantly say, I know better than Satoshi and I can create something better than him. I'm sorry, but most people don't even understand what the fullness of Bitcoin is. And those of us that took more of a reverence towards Bitcoin, we are still digesting what it is, and it honestly is the most grandiose of designs in all of crypto. And that in spite of it being the first technology given to us, it's still the best. So Craig Wright has a good buddy of his who we learned helped him create Bitcoin, named Dave Kleiman. He passes away at a young age of 46. His brother Ira Kleiman inherits his estate. He realizes he has access to all of his brother's computer. His brother, along with Craig Wright, wrote the textbook used in all faculties throughout the world on computer forensics. He realizes, in looking at what's happening, that his brother was involved in the creation of Bitcoin. Dave Kleiman, his brother that passed away. And he sees the correspondence that he had with Craig Wright. So he sees that Craig Wright was also part of the creation of Bitcoin. So he sees that there's some Bitcoin wallets that he doesn't have access to. Craig Wright, he reaches out to Craig Wright. Craig Wright helps him try to recover those Bitcoins that belong to his brother, to his late brother, David. But then Ira goes into this whole thing of like, well, if my brother helped create Bitcoin, then I am also an owner of the Satoshi Bitcoin. So he devises a plan, and it seems it was a plan executed by a lot of other people. Not just Ira himself, but now it's coming out more and more that there was other people involved with this issue, where they started going to Gizmodo magazine and Wired magazine, and they doxed Craig Wright as Satoshi. They pulled Satoshi violently out of his privacy.
Yes.
That was like almost like a rape, really.
So they tried to unmask the mystery.
Well,
right?
they actually did. And for any person out there that enjoys his privacy, imagine being doxxed. And this is happening at the moment when Ross Ulbricht is being sentenced to 2 life terms in the United States. So imagine the level of freak out that happens to Craig Wright when he is doxxed by force. And on top of that, not only do they go to these magazines, but on top of that, they go to the Australian tax authorities, and they have the Australian Federal Police SWAT his businesses and his homes. And so, in my opinion, back then, what happened was that Craig Wright freaked out. I'm pretty sure that in his freak out, again, he's an autistic person with Asperger's. I'm pretty sure these people with these atypical personality disorders, they are people that like patterns. They like their life organized. You completely took this mad scientist out of his precious alter ego. You stripped his alter ego away from him, and now he is vulnerable to the world. And what happens is that he's just vulnerable. And I imagine that he, at that moment, and he claimed it at the Kleiman trial, because there was a trial in Florida a couple of years ago on this case, where Ira sues Craig Wright for saying he is Satoshi and my brother was too, and he owes us money. So the claimant, the accuser, was saying he's a Satoshi and he owes me money, and with proof I have it here. So Craig Wright was doxxed, violently taken out, and so I'm pretty sure he deleted a lot of evidence of him being Satoshi. Have you guys, a lot of hackers, guys that are into privacy, they go through this whole thing called wiping out. Once in a while, they just they destroy computers, and they wipe everything out. I'm pretty sure Craig Wright did a lot of that. I don't know to what extent he did, but he did say he stomped on hard drives. Is the famous quote. Can only imagine.
Can I interject right
there?
there?
Yeah, of course, man.
So
yeah, go for it.
My understanding is the reason he stomped on a hard drive because it was allowed him to access a file that he believes you use a key and you're done. So when he stomped on the hard drive, he didn't need it anymore because he had already proven. Now we got to remember that Craig Wright, he already signed for several people. He signed for Gavin Andreessen, right, and a few others. And he did that privately because he wanted to prove who he was to other people. He didn't really want to do it. There's videos you can go back and watch. He was very uncomfortable. But once this creation was sidetracked by Blockstream, okay, where they limit it to 1 megabyte, they shut down the opcodes, all right?
Slowed it down.
Exactly. They handicapped it, you know. And so today, as we sit here today right now, Bitcoin BTC can do 7 transactions a second. Bitcoin BSV, which Craig Wright was able to restore, can do 2 million transactions
And
a second.
you regard this as the original.
This is
what it was
Bitcoin.
intended to be.
This is Bitcoin, and the reason it's Bitcoin, it has the original protocol going straight through. There was a fork in 2017 that went from Bitcoin to Bitcoin Cash, and then later on, Bitcoin Cash forked off into BSV because Dr. Craig Wright, and primarily Dr. Craig Wright, and Roger Ver, who is known as Bitcoin Jesus, who did a lot of amazing things in the space, and who I met here in Acapulco years ago, disagreed. And what Roger Ver wanted to do was increase the block size, but keep it limited to 8 megabytes or 32 megabytes. Now, I sold computers in the 80s. So there's no security reason to increase block size. Like, you know, it's a psyop to say that. And so basically, then BCH went into BSV, and then it split off. And Craig Wright has proved it. And you know, when you talk about Turing complete, he was 100% right. And so what's interesting now, for me to come back, because I was out of the space for a while, and I've talked to you about it before, you know, I had a very serious accident, and I was gone for, 3 or 4 years, and now I'm back in the space. And then I come along, then there's some very interesting people. So you have Craig Wright and Calvin Ayre. Calvin Ayre is the billionaire who helped save it. They're like the original 2 people. But then you have a group of young guns, I'm going to call them, very, they didn't grow up with the internet. They probably didn't have cell phones when they were young. And Raphael's one of them. And there's 2 others. I'm going to let Raphael talk about it because they're actually, and the way Raphael explained this to me, it makes perfect sense. Well, what I was doing and what I've been doing is trading Bitcoin, which is like a suitcase, a computer. Like we're trading pink computers for blue computers or whatever, and we're making money as the price goes up and we can trade these computers. But no one did anything to turn these computers on and use them. And Raphael hasn't said it yet. But in 2023, Raphael and these other 2 guys and a few others that are behind the scenes, they turned the dang computers on. So Raphael learned how to do that with BSV, and then he took it and he applied it to BTC and he applied it to Dogecoin and some others. So he's teaching these people how to follow what Craig Wright gave us.
Let's pick up on that thread in a moment. But
sure.
Before we do that, just reiterate what are the charges, or what is the trial of Craig Wright?
So here's the trial of Craig Wright.
The plaintiff, and what would the verdict likely end up?
Okay, to me it doesn't matter what the verdict is, and I'll tell you why.
Explain.
Do you want me to take it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay,
go ahead.
All right. So this is really the reason why Mike invited me to talk about this because. Oh, by the way, about what Mike said, I'm not a programmer. I'm just an enthusiast. There's, and it's just not 3 guys. It's a bunch of people. BSV literally has more developers than BTC. And yeah, because in BTC, they don't allow anyone to do anything. That's why you have to do it in a sly way like we did in 2023 with ordinals. But let's go back to the trial. So what happens is that this entire world of big tech has been struggling with the desire of creating what they call Web 3, a more interconnected internet. Okay. If you take the world of technology and you visualize it in your mind, all of technology as a giant kitchen full of beautiful ingredients, you then realize, well, I can go into that world and I can grab ingredients and make recipes, right? That's what Satoshi did. He grabbed the best ingredients possible and he created the most incredible recipe to have internet money. And he discovered many things along that process. And the sacred recipe that Satoshi discovered is composed of 3 factors. Number 1 is proof of work. Number 2 is the blockchain design as the topological graph that interconnects people best to each other. And number 3 is the UTXO model. So Satoshi brought this together, and I mean, we don't have time for me to get into every intricacy. But this is the key for what they want to do, what Facebook has been wanting to do with Libra, what the Boston Fed has been wanting to do with Project Hamilton and the CBDC. They literally everyone knows that Bitcoin in its original design has the architecture to scale horizontally in parallel, like any big tech giant, like Google, Amazon, Facebook. And a lot of people are probably asking me, what does that mean to scale horizontally? Like, I might say things, I'm gonna tell you, you're gonna have to look it up because I don't have time to give you a class on what that means. But it's reasonable scaling where I don't have to, like, if I had a bus, I don't have to check the bus into the shop to grow the size of the bus. If I get more clients, I just buy more buses. That's horizontal scaling. Only proof of work, and only specifically the UTXO model allows you to do that. The vast majority of the crypto space was kept ignorant of these things for the past decade on purpose. Why is that? Because it allowed big tech to catch up. It allowed finance to catch up to the threat that is Bitcoin. The truth is that they realized that they won't ever be able to catch up. Satoshi, after he is doxxed, he's no longer talking like an anarchist. When he was behind the veil of privacy, where he completely let go he was able to let go of his alter ego completely. Post-doxing, Dr. Craig Wright speaks as a minarchist objectivist, like a Randian. The difference between a Randian and an anarcho-capitalist is their points of inflection for what private property is. So for the anarcho-capitalist, the point of inflection for private property is physical space. It's physical. I own it here, physical. It's mine. It's physical space. The point of inflection for the objectivist is intellectual property. Craig Wright does the pivot because he's wise, he's smart. He can't, now that he's doxxed as being Satoshi, he can't, and he just saw Ross Ulbricht get served 2 life sentences. He can't just say, hey, I'm going to continue being and Jeff Perwick part 2. No. He has to play it smart. So he pivots to a Randian presentation, and he shows how, in reality, he won't use these words. But in reality, this is what it is. Bitcoin in itself is an honesty machine, a truth ledger, the eternal library of Alexandria, and the book that can never be burned. I call it the book of life. That's what Bitcoin is. It was never supposed to be a privacy coin. It's a place that enforces honesty. And within that, in the section 2 of the white paper, you have the chain of digital signatures, where every single transaction from wallet to wallet, even if it's not attested by the miners before it goes to the blockchain, enters into a contractual state with each other. There's a legal contract, free market contract aspect to all this with every single transaction. There is a cryptographic signature that can be used to be represented in any type of arbitration or legal system. The legal system that dominates the world right now is one that is communist in design. It's centralized. Why is it communist? Because it comes from the centralization of the nation state. We all understand that. But humanity has not been able to produce something better. But as time goes on, we will have better systems of arbitrage that are more efficient, scalable, faster, cheaper than that which government can offer. And Bitcoin fits any system of arbitrage. Okay. It's universal.
Let me interject for a minute.
Sure.
'Cause I'm going to get back to your
Well,
question.
I'm not done with my point. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I'm so sorry.
No, that's okay, because we want to stay right on this question.
No, and that's why I'm going back to. I was just making this point.
Please.
The point. Oh fuck! I forgot.
I think you're building up. You're building up
He
to
was.
the background.
His mind is so...
to why Craig Wright's kind of on trial and why it's important.
Yeah, why-
Exactly. So this is the point, guys. So what happens is that everyone in big tech wants Web3, and now we get to see Team Satoshi bring the vampires out into the light, the vampires of big tech. So who's behind the culpa side of the case is Facebook, Sam Altman, OpenAI, Jack Dorsey, the creator of Twitter, and that entire lizard cartel of
And
big
all
tech.
the exchanges.
All the exchanges,
Yeah,
literally.
Coinbase, Kraken, all of them.
All of the, you guys have to understand that who controls big tech are people that are hidden. Literally is like deep state, but like deep tech. It's not even the managing partners of these venture capital funds. It is the limited partners who call the shots, who are the real investors, and they're hidden figures. You'll never know who they are.
They're like the bondholders.
They're the real guys, and they all have a stake in all of the venture capital funds. They run, and some of them are the fund of funds, right? And something very important that I want to mention is they tried really hard to create Web3 on their own, but they know that the recipe, the only recipe deep down that is capable of offering what they want as Web3 is what Satoshi created in its original design, Bitcoin, meaning the technology only held by BSV right now. Craig Wright, being smart, what he started doing is that he saw IBM, Alibaba patenting all of these technologies, and he himself and the entity Enchain started patenting these things. In my opinion, now this is my speculation based on everything that I tell you, what I think this whole corporate trial is about is to discredit Craig Wright as Satoshi, so then they can go after his patent, his IP, and discredit that as well. Otherwise, if they ever were to use his technology, they would have to pay royalties to Craig Wright, the creator of it, in my opinion. The real reason that this is very important is because the reason why Bitcoin fits into Internet Protocol version 6, IPv6, that is Web3. And that's really what these guys are after. And they don't want... And so...
And tell him what that is. IPv6 is... Okay,
go for it.
IPv6, yeah. So he's doing a great job of talking about it. But being an older guy, I'm going to talk more on the corporate world so that, the people who are older want to understand exactly from the way their mind thinks, right? Because our mind at different age thinks different ways. So as he got into IPv6, so IPv4 was the standard way that computers talk to each other, and it's been around for years. IPv6 was created maybe 20 or 30 years ago, and what does it allow? Well, it allows micropayments. So it's the cash, okay? When Bitcoin was first created, they used in the old protocol, the HTTP IP protocol, there was a place for digital cash to be in there. And IPv6 and the current person who is now, let's say, the head of the IPv6 protocol program is working with BSV. IBM is building on BSV right now. Like, they are building so many things because what does IPv6 allow? It allows micropayments. What does that mean? Well, that means that computers can talk to computers. Big, huge farms will be able to give plants exactly what they need, the nutrients, the water. Then machines will come by, and they'll be paying each other. It won't be me paying you, Mike paying...
Machine to machine.
It'll be machine to machine and the micro. Right now, I can send a Bitcoin, either a penny or $1 million to anyone, anywhere in the world, and it costs me a fraction of a penny. If I do that on
1/50,000th of a penny.
150, thank you. If I do that on BTC, okay, it might be $100 or $20. It's ridiculous. And then people, we just did it yesterday, where everyone's talking BTC. And so they're sending, they can't buy anything if it's under, $20. I can send a penny. So let's go back to the white paper. And that's why they're going after Craig in trial. Because, in a trial, you have to answer the questions that's coming out. So the first 7 days is Craig Wright being cross-examined. Wait till he gets a chance to show his evidence. I mean, he could have watermarks behind this thing. I mean, this man has got 30 different degrees or more. He's the most knowledgeable person, as recognized already by the Court of London. And so he's been doing so many things for so many different companies to securitize them, and he's been doing it for years. So this man's under an incredible amount of pressure, but look at him in the trial. He's wearing suits, and it's as hot as there in the trial as it is here. And this dude is sitting up, and he's taking all of their stuff. Now it's his turn. This trial's going to go on for a while.
Yeah.
Now, he could lose this trial, and it could go to the appellate trial. Of course, I know all about that because my business was about winning in appellate court when we lose at the district level.
So but just to be clear, if he loses, what would he be losing?
So if he loses, okay, so let's go back to the charges or what's happening. First of all, Craig Wright is not suing anybody. COPA, which is the Crypto Open Patent Alliance, they're suing Craig Wright because he has so many patents and so many trademarks on all this technology, and they want it. So they're suing him. Now, before the trial even begins, Craig Wright publishes an open offer that says, okay, I'll tell you what, I won't enforce all my rights. You can do what you want, BTC. You can do what you want, Bitcoin Cash. Leave BSV alone, and we'll compete with you in the open marketplace. And you know what? I don't like to swear, but we're going to kick your ass. That's basically what he's saying. And they're like, you know what? We know. We're going to trial. Because they're going to try and prove you're not Satoshi. So they keep asking him time after time after time.
Because they don't want that system, BSV and the original Bitcoin, to be the adoption for Web3.
They
Is
can't.
that right?
Exactly. So
let me be something else.
You're right. So let's take it this way. When the internet first came out, right? China didn't want their people to have it. So what did they do? They built a Great Wall of China around the internet. Well, what did the people do? They went around it, right? You can't stop something whose time has come. And where you have now with Bitcoin, right, is a time for programmable money, a time for a truth machine, as Raphael has said, and they're not going to be able to stop it. So even if he loses the trial, right, time has come. It's released. You can't bring the horses out of the barn. So and I think we've talked about this earlier, February 4th of 2020 was the date that the Genesis upgrade to the BSV was completed. At that point, I knew, and I had my own personal problems. I had my own Genesis, and once that happened, that means, and then block sizes started taking off, and it went from, megabytes to gigabytes, and now we're at terabytes. And so everything Craig Wright talked about is now happening, despite the fact that they're going after him. So why are they going after him? Because the people who run the planet don't want it.
Well, Jeff Berwick said last night during his talk, he said that those big payment processing fees is one of the obstacles from it becoming an actual currency, because that's a big obstacle, isn't it?
It's not even a big obstacle; it's a barrier.
And you're talking about this system would pretty much eliminate that.
It's the real Bitcoin. It's that simple. So
and it's out there
for us. For us original Bitcoiners, and I consider an actual real Bitcoiners, we take everything that Satoshi gave us into account. Mm-hmm. We don't impose our will on the network and on the what he gave us as a gift and try to impose our will on it and make of it what we want. No. That's what they did in BTC. That's what they did in Bitcoin Cash. And it's just like, man, it's honestly like, there's me saying that makes me like at this moment, almost like mentally numb. Like, I can't believe that these assholes had the audacity to not see this for the gift that it was. And
well, they did see it, Ralph. They don't want it
they
because
don't
they have control.
The gift you're talking about is peer to peer and not through middlemen.
Exactly, and even
real
more
money.
than that,
real money.
But it's not just But it's not just money. It's Satoshi didn't give us money.
It's the beginning.
It's the beginning. We used to call it money as the first application of the Bitcoin protocol.
Yes.
For us, the Bitcoin protocol in its totality is Bitcoin, and the fullness of the Bitcoin protocol only exists in BSV right now. we don't think of Bitcoin as the taker symbol that the lizards control on the exchanges. That's BTC, that's Bitcoin Cash. We don't care about that. We care about Bitcoin as the protocol. Bitcoin is the original protocol. And the thing is very well, who are up against Craig Wright? We are seeing firsthand who are the people that literally went up against the real Bitcoiners and Satoshi himself. Who were the people the vampires were brought out into the light? Who are those vampires?
Look at the Super Bowl. Who was at the Super Bowl?
Mark Zuckerberg. Yeah, at the Super Bowl, you had Jack Dorsey, the creator,
with Satoshi on his shirt.
With Satoshi on his
shirt.
Like literally, like
cameras
being
on him all
arrogant.
the time.
Sitting
At
next
the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
Satoshi.
Sitting next to Beyonce and Jay-Z.
During the
What an
Super Bowl.
asshole. Yeah. Jack Dorsey, the founder of Twitter, sitting at the Super Bowl, sitting next to Beyonce and Jay-Z, wearing a t-shirt that said Satoshi, arrogantly poking at us and saying, haha, I'm suing Satoshi, because that's really what he's doing. These people are evil. These people don't want you to be free. These people want to enslave you. And Bitcoin is the only way to free humanity, guys. It is our market-driven offensive weapon, where value goes in a spiral of positivity through a meritocracy of proof of work. And nothing else in crypto compares to that. What's the next best thing that we have in crypto? Are privacy coins. And what do privacy coins do? Well, hide? Are you just going to hide? The rest of your life hide? Mm-hmm. Evil will still happen around you. And what are you going to do? Hide in a cave?
Let me add on that.
That's not me. I'm not one to hide.
Right. So look, Binance. Craig Wright called out CZ from Binance and said exactly what he was doing, that he was funding terrorism. And Binance was one of the largest exchanges. Well, where is he today? Well, he's in federal custody. He's already pled guilty, and Binance is gone. Well, Craig Wright said that. Go back and look at it. He called him out. So, like, it's funny how people forget history. They forget about this block size debate that I lived through and that Raphael lived through, where they wanted to keep it to 1 megabyte, and we split in 2017 into Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash, and then in 2018 into Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin SV. They're not talking about those things anymore because Craig Wright's already proven them wrong. He's already scaled. They said it would never scale. Go back and look. Oh, it'll never. I mean, all of them. That'll never scale. It'll never work. Now it works.
And not just that, but like the younger generation that you brought up, you know what we did in 2023? We went into BTC and literally murdered the small blocker narrative. They were not expecting the younger generation, not the Calvin Ayers and Craig Wrights, the younger generation to go into BTC, and whatever was left of computational capabilities within BTC on-chain and capacity to arbitrage data on-chain, we went in with ordinals in 2023, and we activated and created marketplaces that live on-chain. Even though they're expensive, we treated them as entrepreneurs, as, like, okay, it's just, we're going to go open up a shop in Fifth Avenue. You're not going to sell coffee. You'll sell Gucci bags. And that was the mindset.
So tell them how much money you made your investors. What was the percentage gain in that time?
Well, in the best asset, Ordi, the first fungible token, it was 88,000% gains.
88,000%.
88,000%.
Yeah, and we're talking 3 months.
In less than 3 months.
You're talking about NFTs mainly?
No, I'm talking about
ordinals.
Ordinals, different from
the first ordinal token, Ordi.
And what percentage of the blockchain is the ordinals now consuming on the BTC blockchain as far as transactions?
Regularly, it's usually over 50%. It's now over 50% is of these transactions are ordinals transactions, on-chain transactions, and it's been over 70, and for and sometimes when we get really happy, it goes over 80% easily. So what happened at the end of 2023, Jack Dorsey, the same guy that was mocking us at the Super Bowl sitting next to Jay-Z and Beyonce, that same demonic force, he freaked out. He wasn't expecting that. This was crazy, is that he thought he was like, haha, we got the propaganda because we control media, we control big tech. We already have the whole world thinking Craig Wright is a fraud, right? At Anarchapulco, people here that are critical thinkers, they see through all that bullshit.
Right.
They see through all that bullshit. That's why best people here, you see, are BSV. If they're Bitcoiners, they're BSV people. Believe it or not, that's what you see at Anarchapulco. Anyways, but I digress. So, I'm sorry, what was I saying? So at the end of 2023, Jack Dorsey freaks out. He gets together with a programmer who literally admits that he eats cats. Okay, Luke Dasher, literally, this guy literally eats cats, and they create a mining pool to censor ordinal transactions, on-chain, native marketplace transactions that happen on the BTC blockchain.
So they're trying to stop you.
They're trying to stop us.
Right.
But in order for them to stop us, because they're communists, they would have to tell other miners that in order that they should do this, which would cause them to lose money. It would be an opportunity cost. So by all means, try to do it. You know what happened? It flopped 2 days after they launched. That we're gonna stop this ordinal thing. They have to themselves process ordinal transactions. At the same time, we got to BTC and we were like, we're ready. We are ready. Where is the Lightning Network? Let's go. And what these programmers have from BTC with the Lightning Network, after 8 years of propaganda and hundreds of millions of dollars of investments, they had nothing. Nothing. So much so was the economic pressure for BTC on-chain scaling and from the Ordinals marketplace that the top 3 developers rage quit on the Lightning Network. They rage quit.
So you're saying that the Lightning thing was a lot, mostly hype?
It was.
It was doomed to failure.
Have they delivered? What have they delivered?
Let
so
me talk
far?
about that. Let me take a look.
But just quickly on that, and get back
yeah.
to the main point.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they haven't delivered anything. That's what he's saying. So the Lightning Network was designed to be second layer payments, and it went off of the primary network, which you never should have done. And by the way, Blockstream.
It was promised that it would speed up
you can buy a cup
transaction
of coffee. You
by
wanna buy a cup
orders of
coffee.
magnitude.
Yeah,
right?
but what they did is they opened a channel, and it made it quick, but it made it totally unsecure. It were hack vectors everywhere, and now it's already been trashed. They spent millions of dollars developing it, and it's nothing. But what else does Blockstream do? See, what Blockstream does is by promoting these side chains and stuff, if you want to transact in Bitcoin and you want to use the Lightning Network, you get to pay them. You get to pay them for their hardware and stuff like that. So they're making money. See, they're making money off of Bitcoin. They don't want these cheap transactions. And they're also, Blockstream is totally dependent on the original subsidy of Bitcoin. And the subsidy of Bitcoin is the reward that comes out every 10 minutes. And Craig Wright explained it, that this subsidy was supposed to decrease over time, just like, the countries subsidize their industries, like Samsung was got in Korea. I'm sorry, where's Samsung from? Not Korea.
I think
Is it Korea? South Korea. And of course, they're one of the biggest companies in the world, so the subsidy goes away. So the halving keeps happening. And so the real money, long-term money from Bitcoin is supposed to come from transaction fees. So if you've got billions and billions of transactions and there's a tiny little fee, and so you and I, when we want to watch the internet, we don't want to watch ads popping up on Facebook all the time. We want to watch, and if I want to watch 10 minutes, I don't mind paying a penny. If I want to watch an hour, I don't mind paying 3 pennies or 5 pennies or whatever I think that's worth. But as soon as I cut out, and that's all done with IPv6 and BSV, BTC can't touch that. And quite frankly, none of the privacy coins can either, because they don't have the network effect. The networked effect of Bitcoin is eventually the entire world is the entire internet is going to ride on top of the Bitcoin network.
In other words, it puts all the lizards out of business.
Exactly.
Like the biggest,
they're done.
The biggest. Okay, so all the libertarians understand the evil of central banking, but central banks and banks themselves are nothing but tech companies now. Over 94% of the U.S. dollar is digital. Mm-hmm. So when people fear the CBDC, well, the CBDC is already here. What you're fearing is big data that's tagged along with the digital ID. That's what you're fearing. Okay, that's what you're fearing. But when you take the power from big data away from these hub and spokes networks, that's the network topology of big tech. They're hubs with spokes.
Centralized,
yes.
Yeah.
And you give it to a market-driven capitalist meritocracy that has the most mathematically sound interconnected graph called the blockchain that scales horizontally with the UXTXO model, meaning Bitcoin in its original design, BSV. You take that power away from them completely.
You do more than that. You turn the light, instead of just on us all the time where they're monitoring everything we do, now we see you.
Exactly, and they
We
hate
see you,
accountability.
and so they know they're running scared.
That's right.
I mean, when you see these guys that are running each countries or whatever, they get out and they're being egged and they're hiding.
Yeah, honestly,
They're hiding.
And this is something that like a lot of people, the older generation within BSV, the more enterprise guys, the guys that are like with patents and stuff, they won't say this, but I have the freedom to say it, and this is just my opinion, because again, they're very Randian.
Explain Randian.
Randian, again, that the locus of private property is found in intellectual property, meaning that in intellectual property, so they want some government. They are minarchists. They're not anarchists. But within BSV, there are anarchists as well, like myself, that say, okay, well, that last aspect of assuring contracts that the minarchist and Randian wants to be assured of intellectual property could be served by the best. We could live in a world where that could be served better by the free market. Has that solution been developed right now? Not 100%. I mean, we have had mercantile law in the past,
right.
So it's not outside of the purview of the context of something humanities have lived. We've had legal systems that have been decentralized and market-driven. Mercantile law was that. So could that be revived with the internet and with Bitcoin? Yes. But what I will say is this, that Murray Rothbard said it best. You will never have complete freedom, anarchy, without capitalism. Capitalism is a necessary precursor to that. You need both. So BSV, in my opinion, is the most revolutionary technology that we have. Again, a privacy coin only allows you to hide. This puts the emphasis on for us to live in an honesty-driven world. And people in power that are doing bad things hate to be held accountable. Accountability is what they detest. They can live with a Monero. They can live with a Pirate Chain. They can live with a Darrow. It's okay. It's private. They love privacy. Privacy is what they use themselves to not be held accountable. But once we have a network that is honest by default, and if you read the white paper, the adjective that Satoshi uses to describe nodes mining is honesty.
Yeah, and
proof
more,
of work.
And more than
Honesty.
that, people want anonymous, and Satoshi says, no, it's pseudonymous. Your privacy matters. You don't want other people knowing what you're doing. But if you think the government's not going to come and shut you down, they're going to shut you down. The Liberty Dollar and all those things that Craig Wright knew about, they've got shut down worldwide in a takedown by all the governments at the same time. And that guy got put in jail. So government has power. So it's not about being anonymous. It's being pseudonymous.
Okay, but see, this is where I digress with someone like Michael, because he's of like an older generation than us. The thing is that you're completely right. As the world exists right now,
Yes.
The thing is that Bitcoin in its design is a meritocracy that incentivizes freedom, and for you to live in a more free way, just way. Libertarian is nothing more than this philosophy of decency, of decent men coming together that are so decent and they adhere to the non-aggression principles so well that they don't need daddy government to tell them how to behave with each other.
Let me ask you a question.
Sure.
Because I agree with you.
What I was saying is that tyranny is disincentivized more and more as time goes on. So therefore, as to your point, which was?
Well, I can't think right now because I just went to this question, so I'm sorry.
Yeah,
So,
your point was that you still need,
anonymous, and you can't pseudonymous, right? Those two things.
The thing is that Bitcoin, Bitcoin will give you, at a scale, will give you so much privacy that would be almost anonymous.
Yes.
And this would be a
Pseudonymous.
cost. Exactly. It'd become so big and so fast because I can literally. To start off in BSV, you can use any type of encryption, any type of zero-knowledge proof, any type of homomorphic encryption on-chain, something that no other privacy coin can do. Why is that? Because it's unbounded in scaling. It scales horizontally, meaning that we can play with different types of cryptography and privacy protocols at the same time. Pirate Chain has to marry ZK snarks. And that is what
So
they do. ZK
if you don't
snarks.
mind, let me get back to this topic.
They're
because
homomorphic encryption.
we're talking about
With
like
BSV, I can do all of them at the same time.
Yes.
Yeah, you see what I mean?
so like democracy. And we talked about democracy. Like there's a book, and it was written by a gentleman. And if you really want to know what democracy is, you can read it. The gentleman's name is Harold Waldman Percival, and the book is called "Democracy is Self-Government." When you govern yourself, you don't need, and that's where the world is going. We're not there right now.
We're not there exactly. So I agree
We've got
with you,
governments
yes.
that are taking control. We got people who aren't governing themselves. When people govern themselves and they follow their own personal responsibility, they don't need government.
Exactly.
But we're as a species, we've been governed, and we cannot take what other people have because we're jealous of them. When we no longer are jealous, and when we look to ourselves and we meditate and we breathe and we try to do the right thing, and when more and more people do that, then democracy will take over. True democracy, not the one vote where all of a sudden the majority rules like what we have, and then the people who are tyrants will take over, and that's what you have in all these countries. No, we got a long way to go for self-democracy. So we have to deal with where we're at now. We're in a
Exactly.
world where there's governments, and those governments have power, and we need to do what our founding fathers did, and we need to beat them at their own game. We need to talk about what's right and hold them accountable, and Bitcoin will hold them accountable because it's a truth machine, and that accountability will make their influence over us less and less and less, but it will take time.
And sound money.
Sound money,
digital gold,
digital cash.
something that you can have custodianship over.
Yes.
Yeah, correct.
As well. And so there's the difference between fiat money, which is totally opaque, completely dishonest.
So, by the way, fiat money and the history of fiat money, and there's books you can get on it. No fiat money's currency has ever survived. And there's a book, 2 inches thick, that and the petrodollar is on its last legs.
So you're saying getting towards a better form of democracy, you need to have honest money.
Yeah, and well, think about it.
100%. Yes. And can I
Yeah, go
interject
ahead.
real
Go
quick?
ahead.
So well, Jeff Berg and I were having this conversation yesterday, and he's like, Raph, if there was a button that I could press to have anarchy right now, I would not press it because people are not ready for it.
Yes.
Okay, so we need economic incentives to drive not just those in power, but all of us to be more decent with each other.
Mm-hmm.
Bitcoin invites everyone to compete. Bitcoin is original design. Everyone to compete. Transaction fees are so cheap that I can subsidize the whole planet to use the blockchain for $400. For $400 at 1/50,000th of a penny, I can have everybody posting things on chain and getting paid for it in Bitcoin right now. Right now. In Bitcoin's original design, BSV.
Yeah.
So when if we change human incentives through a free market competition that is based on honesty, that's what Satoshi gave us. So yes, it will take time, and I think Bitcoin does not just enforce honesty, but it also changes us from within.
Yes.
Hey, what's the big conscience?
My definition?
Your definition. Give him your definition. Give him your definition of what.
Okay.
I love
you
this
were reading
definition.
this last
guys.
night.
All right, here it is.
Yeah.
Big conscious. Okay, so I came up with this a few months ago. Big conscious defined, and I put it on, what is it, Slackery, or what is that?
Slictionary.
Slictionary, okay.
Yes.
Okay, big conscious. The knowledge that Bitcoin will usher in a new age of enlightenment, where individuals known as illuminees will become a bit more conscious of consciousness and bring forth a real democracy where each person practices the art of self-control and self-discipline.
And it was written by
Me.
it was you,
That's me.
not an AI chatbot.
No, AI chat.
Mike
This is
Middleton.
Mike Middleton's.
AI is not that smart, guys. AI is pretty dumb.
So I put this word into AI and got nothing. I mean,
Not for long though.
yeah. So you can feed this, by the way, into AI, because I've been playing with it with Ryan X. Charles, who was, so Ryan X. Charles is another very interesting person because he was with Craig Wright, and he created a whole series called The Theory of Bitcoin. And he actually at one point compared Craig Wright to Jesus Christ. Right?
That's a little too much, but yeah, sure.
Well, but I mean, I don't know. He said, could he be, because he was bringing something to humanity, right? So anyway, the comparison was made, but now he's into AI stuff, and I'm finding it very interesting. So, everyone pivots to where they're going.
Well, look, just to pull it together, because
Yeah.
we're going to wrap it up in
Let's
a
do
couple
it.
minutes at the top of the hour. But
Okay.
I'm going to give both of you the floor to just kind of give it your wrap up on this. I'll go to you first,
Okay,
Mike,
Kirsten.
and then to Raf after that. But go
Okay,
ahead.
so what I'm going to say is, for those of you who are interested, and how are you going to, like, if you want to follow the trial, there's certain people out there. I'm going to give a few plugs to people. There's a gentleman you can follow on Twitter. His name is Satoshi, right? And he gives Satoshi, right? There's another one named Gavin Mail. And each one of those guys are following the trial. They're giving the updates. They're trying to be as objective and fair as they can about what's going on. The other thing is, how do you get BSV? That is very difficult to do right now. Now, I know there's a where I'm able to get it now, because I still have some, because I converted it. But there's a program, and I don't know where it's available and what the restrictions are, but it's called mycoinify.com, because people are out there. They want to know how, okay, this is great, but what do I do? How can I get some, right? And if you can get, each Bitcoin has 100 million Satoshis. And we're going to be interacting in Satoshis. You're going to need Satoshis to do things, right? And I talked about this earlier. Like, if you want to be a trillionaire, you could have a trillion hot dogs. You could we all are trillionaires. We have a trillion cells in our body or more, right? So you would need how many Bitcoin to be a trillionaire? Well, if there's 100 million Satoshis, right, in each Bitcoin, you would need 10,000 Bitcoin. But BTC, BCH, the real Bitcoin is BSV, and you can get it today for about $80. So if you got that kind of money, but good luck trying to buy it anywhere. It's going to be very difficult.
Just be clear, BSV stands for?
Bitcoin Satoshi Vision.
Vision.
And we're here with Anarchapulco, which is the dragon, and we're now in the year of 2024. This is, what's the theme again? Reborn. And, it's the dragon is the Satoshi thing, and the phoenix. All that it's just coming together at the same time. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to my buddy Raphael.
Okay, guys. So, the people who are focusing on beyond the trial, and really focusing on just BSV Bitcoin as the technology and growing on chain, open source, and interoperable, those people, the smartest of Bitcoiners, are found in hodllocker.com. hodllocker.com. Get to know it.
How do you spell the first part of that?
HODL, like HODLOCKER.com.
HODL Locker.
Yes. Shout out to Jack Liu, a very important Bitcoiner, and to Daniel Krawitz, who is dearly called the Emperor of Bitcoin.
Yes.
Who
came up with hyper-Bitcoinization.
Yes, he's the father of real Bitcoin maximalism. He's the father of the term hyper-Bitcoinization, and that's why we call him the Emperor endearly. And so yeah, Bitcoin is abundant. Bitcoin is abundant. Is complete abundance. It's complete light. It's okay if you love privacy coins. I love privacy coins. I think they're great tools for those who need them. There are people in the world, we're talking about the world as it exists right now. There's people that are living under tyranny right now that need to escape. And you know what? Don't use a Bitcoin or something derived of a Bitcoin protocol. You need something that is private by default. It's people that need privacy.
Give some examples. Monero.
Monero, Pirate Chain, Darrow. The most private right now is actually Pirate Chain. Okay. Still. More private than Darrow. More private than Monero. Monero's trying to catch up, but it's gonna take them a good 2 years because they're very conservative. They're very methodical. They take their time, and so we are at the cusp where we are realizing that Bitcoin is only as smart as we are. Bitcoin is a swarm intelligence. It's more important than AI. Bitcoin is more powerful than an AI because it is an AI, a swarm intelligence that serves us. When what we put on the blockchain, whatever it may be, our computational power, our ideas, our creativity on chain, which I just explained to you guys that it is free to do on BSV, that is going to mirror back to us who we are, because now you're sharing that gift of you to the blockchain for the rest of the world to connect with you in a way that we've never been able to connect before. And this is what the lizards in big tech fear the most. This is why the vampires have come out into the light and they've gone to war in court right now in London against Satoshi Nakamoto himself and his team. So I ask you guys watching this, because I think prayer stands beyond time. Prayer is something that goes to the divine. Prayer is something that is not within the continuum of space and time. You can pray for people in the past, because it goes outside of time. You can pray for your grandpa and grandma, literally, that their first date was great. Is my belief, right? So you can pray for this trial, that the best outcome may come about from it, that Satoshi may be able to defeat these lizards in court, and that peace, prosperity, and freedom may be something that can find its fullness within Bitcoin. Because guys, they're not attacking the network that has been attacked the most in crypto history. Has not been Monero, has not been Pirate Chain, has not been Dero. It's been Bitcoin in its original design, now known as BSV, right? Because it matters.
Good job.
Because this is really the revolution here, guys. So help us with prayer. I really thank you guys.
That's a good one.
Mike, Raphael, appreciate you guys joining us. It's been a good conversation. And enjoy the rest of.
And Patrick, thank you for making this. I mean, you've been really nice to me, specifically down here. You know, I got to know you. You know, we got to know each other down at the when we were out last night. But you do such a really good job, you know, and you're giving everyone an opportunity to get to the stage, and you're providing this technical service. And I just want you to know it's really appreciated.
No, that's our pleasure. That's what we're here for. This is about getting ideas, sharing ideas, educating people, and the way forward, whichever that way is, we'll find out.
Very good.
Yeah, you're an amazing host. Thank you so much for having us.
No, thanks. It's absolutely my pleasure and my honor. Hopefully, we'll keep the conversation going. Things are moving quick.
They are.
So we got to keep this
Ever
conversation above and buoyant so people know about it. So yeah, you guys have been amazing.
Okay.
Anarchapulco 2024, another great conversation. We're going to wrap up this session today. And a
Thank you.
Big shout out to our studio audience. You guys, plenty of troublemakers in the house. All right, you guys.
Thank you.
Nice one.
Thank you.
Now we are dealing with a possible world war. Some will say we are already in a world war. My condolences and prayers go out to everyone suffering under tyranny. It really sucks. I'm really sorry. But it seems as if people are starting to wake up regarding crypto more and more each day. And so it's in the description right here to read, where we give our secret sauce and what we teach our subscribers, because things are just that bad. You know, everyone needs this information. People need to know about sound cryptocurrencies that are actually private by default, and to know how to properly use crypto.